The Liberal Party has traditionally been the sort of, pro-immigration, pro-refugee, pro-asylum seeker party, and has, if you want to say, erred. To the extent it has erred politically, it was always on the more generous as opposed to less generous side. And yet, I want to put those comments that the minister, Marc Miller, put, on the record not too long ago when he said that the asylum claims from international students were alarming and totally unacceptable. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I was actually really disappointed in that commentary. I think it was fear-mongering a little bit, and I think we need to look back. So I want to take a time machine back a little bit. 2018, we have essentially one of the first things that the Ford government did when it came into power, as we remember, is it stopped funding to universities, and it created a freeze on tuition. And essentially, it told universities and colleges to start to get creative about how they brought people here. So the solution was to bring students in, and both the federal government and the provincial government started programs, went overseas, asked all of these students to come here, and the golden ticket that was waved in front of all of these students was PR in Canada eventually. And then I think 5 years later, essentially, students are being scapegoated for the housing crisis. Students are being scapegoated for now making refugee claims. And when they brought all these students here, nobody took the time to say, where are they going to live? What are they going to do at the end of their studies? And I think that this was a fall from government planning, and students are now are scapegoated over it.
Ruby, I should give you a chance to comment on this. Do you think those comments were ill-advised? Shall we put it that way?
Look, Minister Miller always speaks, I think, authentically, genuinely. We are hearing these concerns from Canadians. However, I agree with some of the panelists talking about how those that are asylum seekers also end up becoming great Canadians at the end of the day and wanting to take on citizenship. And I also agree that we need to find a good pathway for many students, because they have come here, they've studied hard, they've contributed, worked well while studying, and have gained a lot of valuable experience. And we have created different category-based pathways for them to become Canadians. That's the whole point of the system. But what had happened in some short few years is what we saw, especially in the province of Ontario, is that the province had authorized more and more schools to enter into these private-public partnerships. The volumes and numbers grew beyond, I think, what was imaginable originally, and escalated quite quickly. We want to make sure that these programs are fair for students, that they have good professors to be able to provide them quality education. That is what Canada should be known for. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, in the last couple of years, that's not what I'm hearing in my region. Especially, we're hearing numbers of upwards of 70 different private schools that have been opened up, and if you drive around the city, you don't even know where they are. So,
I think they tend to be in strip malls, which kind of masks the fact that they are there. But Anne, I'll put this to you. I mean, obviously there are reasonable questions to be asked about any government program, and some people are asking reasonable questions right now, and then others are scapegoating. What do you think more of is going on here?
Well, I guess it depends on who's speaking. I am hoping that certainly on this topic, there does seem to be some scapegoating, but I think people have to remember that it's a protection issue, first of all. There are students that need protection as refugees in that way.
Just be explicit there. Protection from what?
From persecution in their homelands.
By whom?
It could be state agents, it could be other agents, it all depends. I mean, Uganda is a prime example right now. They've just brought in horrible laws against LGBTQ community. They could be death penalty for some. So if a student is from there and they may not want to go home right now if they're in the LGBT community. So
Aadil, forgive me. Aadil, there's fraud in everything, and I'm sure there's fraud in this as well, but you know the system well. What percentage of claimants do you think are making fraudulent claims?
Very, very, very few. I think we always look at the numbers of people coming, and that's what creates all these firestorms. But what I think we should actually be looking at is the number of people that are accepted. And if we're looking at acceptance rates of refugees right now, last year it was at 79%. that even increases after we go through the RAD process. So we're looking
Refugee
almost after they've gone through the entire refugee process, you're looking at almost an 85% acceptance rate. And it is a hard process to get through.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.